exactly what we have in store. So let's jump to our agenda so we can tell you exactly what we have in store for you today. Okay, so first and foremost, we want to tell you who we are, who is Ghana Innov8, who are these people, who are Jay and Jasmine, what do we stand for, and what our organization is. And then we want to talk about what this event was meant to do specifically. After that, we'll dive into the bulk of our program, which is our speaker sessions. We have two amazing speakers. We have one speaking on entrepreneurship and another speaking on investing in cryptocurrency. Then we have a participation survey because we want as much feedback as possible. This is our first event and we only want to get bigger and better from here. So we want to capture your feedback. And after that, we have a raffle. We're giving away 2 prizes. These prizes you are not going to want to miss out on. We have 1 prize coming from each speaker, almost worth $1,000. We have a business coaching session from our entrepreneurship speaker that is worth $400 for personal time with her to talk about your business and help you get started or help guide you in the right path. And then we have a $500 worth session of 20 minutes of personalized investing and financial time with our investment speaker. So you don't want to miss that. So please stick around to the very end. You've already entered the raffle by just registering and joining the presentation. So you just have to stick around to find out if you won. And then we will end it with closing remarks. Throughout the presentation, we'll actually have a Q&A. We'll have a Q&A after our entrepreneurship speaker and a Q&A after our investment speaker. We have a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. So please go ahead and start asking your questions. Send those questions in now if you have questions about starting a business, investing, cryptocurrency, whatever it is. We want to get those questions to our speakers as quickly as possible and as soon as possible because we want to answer as many questions as we can. And I'll pass it back to Jasmine to go over our mission and our vision.
Oh, we already have some questions in here. Can you put the links to social media so we can share and tag? Definitely, we will do that. Thank you all for already using the Q&A box. Like Jay said, ask the questions that you already have. Please submit them right now so that we can get them to the speakers. So our mission is we want to develop and build and nurture communities of Ghanaian professionals everywhere in the world. We're all over the place and it's always good for us to come together. And I know it's hard sometimes, but we just want this to be your home, away from home, where you can develop and grow as a professional. So we want to do that to promote an inclusion through continual learning. We operate with the 3 I's, I like to say: integrity, innovation in order to impact, so we can expand financial access and gain opportunities for generational success for all Ghanaians. That's what we want to do here. Amen.
Amen.
Amen, Jay. So today we're focusing specifically on the financial freedom. That's what we're focusing on today. We are a team that is mighty, small and mighty, but we wanted to just create like-minded professionals to build and grow a community through entrepreneurship, investing, and cryptocurrency. And like Jay said, okay, like, you know how sometimes you're a part of something and you're like, this is okay. But these speakers that we have today, they are the definition of Ghanaian excellence. And I am so honored and we are so blessed to have them speak with us today to talk about what our goal is today with financial freedom. So our speakers today, we have Miss Aforkor, Amelia Quaye. She is the founder of AfokoSkin and Aforkor Adventures. And we have Dr. Hans Boateng. He's the investment tutor. Both of these are phenomenal. I'm so excited to have these speakers here so that we can get more information, so that we can go back to our mission of building generational wealth for Ghanaians. I'm going to pass it over to Jay, and we're going to start with Miss Quaye talking all about entrepreneurship. And I will be back to talk to Dr. Hans about investment and cryptocurrency.
Thanks, Jasmine. As she said, the first part of our session will be focused on entrepreneurship. We know that COVID has changed the world in so many ways, and a lot of that was with our businesses. Some people started businesses, some people had to unfortunately close down their businesses. And so before we start the first session, we want to take another poll to see, how did COVID affect your business? I know we have a lot of entrepreneurs in the audience, so please take a minute to fill out this poll. Let us know how COVID-19 affected your business. I know Afoko will be talking about her experience, but we wanted to get an understanding of whether you started a business, had to stop your business or potentially pivot, or if you were inspired to create your business and you're working on it now. All right, let's take a look at those poll results. Yes, okay, so a mixed bag. A couple people had to close their businesses. We definitely understand that. And some people were fortunate enough to start their businesses, and some people had to re-pivot and create a new strategy. And most people that participated in the poll started working on their business plan. So I'm excited for that. And I know Afoko will be sharing her story. And so without further ado, I'll go ahead and start introducing her. Amelia Quaye is a serial entrepreneur and a social media influencer. We have all of her handles for her businesses and her personal account, so please follow her journey and support her businesses. She is an Atlanta native, and she's also a Ghanaian. AfokoSkin is her skincare line, which she started during the COVID-19 pandemic after a job loss, and she's also a co-founder of Afoko Ventures, a travel agency offering tours to Ghana. She's traveled to over 25 countries, so she is Mrs. Worldwide. And during COVID-19, she put everything into AfokoSkin and was able to launch in May 2020. The brand was an instant success and sold out for pre-orders in less than 2 hours. Amelia is passionate about mentoring entrepreneurs of color and also helping them turn their passions into a profitable business. So without any further ado, I'd like to pass the mic to Ms. Afoko Amelia Quaye to share her story. And make sure you ask your questions in the Q&A, because after this, we'll spend a few minutes asking those questions to Amelia.
Okay, so I want to first of all thank the organizers, Ghana Innov8, for putting this event together. I'm really excited to be here with fellow Ghanaians and of course our brothers and sisters from all around the world who are interested in gathering basically to share knowledge today. So I'm very excited to be here, and I'm humbled that you guys have chosen me. And of course, I want to thank all of the attendees, of course, as well, for taking the time out once again on your Saturday. I know what it's like to have a busy schedule and to have 1,000 things to do. So I appreciate the time that you're taking out to be here, and I don't take it for granted. And so I hope that you are definitely able to gain value from our time here today. So like Jay said, my name is Afoko Amelia Quaye. Most people call me Amelia, which is my middle name. But I want to start off today by starting with the icebreaker. I can't see your faces, but I know you're there. So we're going to start off by playing 2 truths and a lie. So go ahead and get a pen and paper, because I definitely don't want any cheaters. So I'm going to tell you 2 truths about myself and then 1 lie. And then I'm going to see if you can figure out what is the lie. So make sure you have your pen and paper now. Like I said, I don't like cheaters. Okay, so number 1. I was the captain of my varsity high school soccer team. Number 2, my best travel experience ever was riding on an elephant in Thailand. And the 3rd one is, one time a boy broke up with me because he had to get an arranged marriage. So 2 of those are true, 1 of them is a lie. I'm gonna give you 5 seconds to figure it out. Make sure you write it down. All right, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so the lie is that my best travel experience was riding an elephant in Thailand. That never happened. I did go to Thailand, but I did not ride an elephant. So that was a lie, and that means the other 2 were true. So now that we got that out of the way, the actual point in us doing that was for me to make sure that you have a pen and a paper, because we are definitely going to be covering a lot of information. And I just wanted to make sure that you have a pen and paper so that you can write stuff down as we get started. Today, I'm going to start off by talking about my experience and everything in my past that basically led me to where I am today as an entrepreneur. And then I'm going to get more in depth about the actual last year of my life and how I actually started my business during the COVID pandemic and then grew the business over the first year. And then lastly, I'm going to leave you with the things which I feel are most important that I've learned along my journey and the things that I think every entrepreneur should know moving forward. So I'm really excited to be here with you guys, sharing everything today. So we can go ahead and get started. So like I said, my name is Amelia Quaye. I was born in Atlanta and I grew up between Atlanta and South Carolina. So I went to Spelman College where I majored in biology and I had a concentration in pre-dentistry. So I know not everybody here today is Ghanaian, but if you're familiar with Ghanaian parents, then you might know, or even African parents, then you might be aware that there's only 3 acceptable career choices for them. And those are doctor, lawyer, and engineer. And so I know that's not the case for everybody, but it was for me. And because I was good at math and science and I had good grades, and also pretty much everyone in my family worked in healthcare. So for me, the choice was obvious that I wanted to be a doctor. So from the time that I was in junior high, I had my life planned out. I was going to go from junior high to high school, then to college, then to dental school. And I actually had a very specific plan for my life and my career as a dentist. I was going to get my DDS, and then I was going to start a practice, and then I was going to hire other dentists to work under me to the point where I would only go to the office 1 day a week. That was my goal, just 1 day a week, just for the high profile clients. And when I had 4 days a week to myself, then I was going to use that time and the money from my practice to invest in the businesses that I really wanted to do, like having a clothing store or a beauty salon. So I always intended to do that. And, you know, if you can get the picture, it really doesn't sound like I was that interested in, taking care of people's teeth and actual dental hygiene. But that was my goal. That was what I knew. So being the person that I am, I started doing everything in my power to make that happen. So I took school very seriously. I studied IB math and biology in high school. I did just about every single extracurricular activity that I could be a part of to boost my resume for college. When I went to college, I continued to major in biology because it was challenging. And I spent my summers interning in hospitals. I did scientific research. I did everything I could. And it wasn't until I was just a few months away from graduating with my bachelor's of science that I realized that the issue was I actually wasn't that interested in dentistry. So the whole time I actually saw it as a means to an end and a way to have security in order to do the things that I actually wanted to do, which was to own business. And so I started to ask myself, moving forward, do you want to go $200,000 into debt to get an education and gain skills that you're going to be learning over the next 6 to 8 years in dental school and then in residency, and all to not actually want to use these things, all just for a sense of security? And so I realized that that wasn't what I wanted to do. So I had to make the tough decision at that point that I was going to go off of the track, off of the plan I had for my life. And I wasn't going to go to dental school. And I had to let my parents know that. So they were not only shocked that I decided that I didn't want to do that, but I had another bomb that I was going to drop. So being 21 years old at this time, I had, for the first time, no plan whatsoever, and I didn't know what to do. So I pretty much decided that the next logical thing would be to just pack up everything and move across the world. So that's what I did. And I decided to go to Dubai for the next 4 years. So while I was in Dubai, I basically was just doing a lot of self-exploration. I made the decision to go because while I was studying abroad in college, I realized that I did have a love and a passion for traveling. So I decided to move to Dubai. I got a job as a kindergarten teacher. And then I got into real estate and I just traveled as much as I could. I traveled all over the world, more than 30 countries. And I just started trying different things and learning different things. I failed at different things. And when I would fail, I would just try something new and keep on going. So I knew, like I said, that at this point, I knew I wanted to work for myself and I wanted to create something for myself and build something for myself, but I didn't know what. I knew I wanted it to involve travel. I knew I wanted it to involve Ghana and developing Ghana and giving back to Ghana, helping Ghana grow. So I didn't know how to do that. But at this same time, my sister actually started our travel company, Aforkor Adventures, and it was starting to gain traction. It was doing really well. And so at that point, I said, she's done a really great job here. And I saw it as an opportunity for me to invest in our future. So even though I was very comfortable and I was living a very nice life in Dubai, I said to myself, if I want to build something for myself, if I want to have something to show for myself, then I'm gonna have to move home. So that's what I did. So at that point, I moved home. And I pretty much spent the next 2 years just grinding, because at that point, I decided to invest fully into Afoko Adventures, but I also had to keep money coming in. So I had no choice but to pick up odd jobs. So I would pretty much wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I would drive Uber until I couldn't drive anymore. And then I would spend the afternoons working on different material for Afoko Adventures, trying to get new customers, trying to just develop the business as much as I can. And then in the evenings, I would study for my real estate license because I was trying to find more ways to make money and just to sustain. But I want you to actually put yourself in my shoes at that point. I was working from 4 o'clock in the morning. I would be out all day. Sometimes I wouldn't stop until 9 p.m. I would have to make myself get in bed and be asleep by 10 because I had no choice but to wake up again the next morning at 4. And I did this probably 6 or 7 days a week for the next 2 years. There was very rarely time that I just spent money or just did things to enjoy myself or did things that didn't have a purpose. So eventually, it wasn't really working out. I was exhausted, I was burning out. And so I had told myself when I came home from Dubai that I was never gonna work for anyone again. But at this point, I was running out of options. And so I decided that I had to get a job. I needed to make some more money so that I could free up some more time if I wanted to keep working on the plan. So I did that and I decided to get a job at a luxury department store. So at the same time, I was also developing my face wash. Now I was using the face wash myself, using Ghanaian black soap. And at the same time that I started working in the luxury store, I started learning a lot about luxury skincare brands and how they have a fully regimented skincare routine. At the same time, I was entering my mid-20s and I was noticing that my skin was also changing and I had different needs. And I realized that just doing a simple black soap face cleanser was not going to be enough. I wanted to have a fully regimented skincare routine, and I wanted it to include the products that I was familiar with, like black soap and like shea butter. So that's what I decided to do. I decided to start in my own time after work, developing what I envision a great skincare routine. So as New Year's Eve 2020 came, I challenged myself that by the end of 2020, I was going to launch this business. So I said, with the savings from my new job, I'm going to be saving money. And when I have enough money, I'm going to launch the business. But 3 months later, when March came and the COVID pandemic set, I found myself unemployed. And so not knowing what to do, basically, I realized that even though the world was in a panic, for the first time, I had time again. for the first time in the 2 years since I moved home, I felt like everything had finally slowed down and it was giving me a chance to catch up. And so at that time, it was the most confusing thing that ever happened. Nobody knew what to expect. They didn't know how they were going to get their bills paid. They didn't know how long we were going to be on lockdown. And I personally didn't know if I was going to have a job at the end of it, or whether I was going to be in an even worse position than I was at that moment. So I told myself, at this point, I have a solid product with the Black Soap Foaming Face Wash. And so I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to just put everything into this product. So that's what I did. So if you want to write this down, I'm going to actually talk about the actual steps I took in starting my business. So the first things that I did were to actually make a business plan. This is free. And so I did my research. I figured out the product that I was selling. I learned everything I could. I had already been developing this product for a year, so it wasn't something that I just threw into rotation. So with that being said, I had to do more market research. I had to figure out the actual cost of distributing, the cost of shipping to people, just learning different things, different marketing aspects. So I did my business plan. I researched the market and I figured out how I'm actually going to sell the product, how much it's going to cost me. And then next I started to create a brand. I got a logo, and then I started to develop the brand. What feelings am I trying to exude from this brand? What colors represent the theme that I'm trying to exude? And I decided to go with brown because for me, my brand was supposed to celebrate Africa and melanin, and it was supposed to be a way to have representation for our Ghanaian goods in a modern market and at a luxury level. So then I started to do, of course, regular tasks like setting up an email address, setting up a website domain, setting up an e-commerce platform, setting up social media pages, which you can use to make announcements and do free marketing and reaching people. And then I registered an LLC. And then, of course, purchasing the initial products. And based on whatever business or service you're in, that will vary, but those are the things that I started with. So like I said, I knew that I was creating something that didn't exist because I had been developing it over time. So at the time, I had already determined that there was a gap in the market, but I had to actually test to see if the demand was truly there. So my plan was to start with a small test order, a pre-order. So I made a small purchase to the manufacturer for the first time, and I started to announce the launch of my business through social media, using people in my network and use social media shares to actually get the word out. I started doing giveaways and just doing everything I could to promote growth on social media, offering discounts and such. And so to my surprise, I actually got a lot more feedback than I had expected, because there was clearly a huge demand for the product that there was no one filling before. So with that being said, I had given myself a month to complete the first purchase order, and I actually completed that purchase order within an hour and a half of my launch date. So when that happened, I realized that I had something really great on my hands. And at that point, I was all in. So at that point, I had done the initial setup of my business, but knowing that this was something that I wanted to grow and that had the potential to grow, I started investing further in my business. And at that stage, the first thing I did, and what I feel is very important, was protecting myself with a trademark and a lawyer. So I have to say this because it's very important and it's vital that you protect yourself. This is your bread and butter. Your business is your bread and butter, especially if you have a unique idea. So protecting yourself is imperative. And it's not about being mean or nice. It's just about doing business. And so in business, there are no friends. In business, you have partnerships, and partnerships come with contractual agreements. So you have to have things spelled out. You have to speak with a lawyer, have someone to refer to. And it's very important to consider also trademark, copyright, patent, and potential whatever you can do to protect your product and your business. So the next was also investing in upgrading my aesthetic. And so that was everything from the packaging to my website design, professional product photos, just anything that had to deal with the image of my brand. I found it important to invest more in it, because at that point, I had already established that I had a product that worked, that people liked, that they wanted to buy. So at that point, for me, it made sense to invest in selling it more. And so the next thing I did, which is also very important, was to expand my team. And so sometimes this can seem really hard, because as an entrepreneur, you're creative and you're taking ownership over this business. And a lot of times it's hard to give responsibilities away, but it's actually necessary, especially if you want your business to grow. You can't keep focusing on minuscule tasks if you want to focus on growing your business. So once I expanded my team, I was then able to expand my product line, it was really good, enabled in offering people more options. And then throughout this whole time while I was growing my business, I was also investing in paid advertisements and using influencer marketing. So at this point, that is how I was able to grow my business and get to the level that I have. But what I think is really important is the things that I've learned along the way. And I think that all entrepreneurial journeys look different, but I think that the underlying lessons, at least these ones that I want to share with you today, are valuable to an entrepreneur no matter what journey you're on. So my takeaways for you today, and this is where it really gets juicy, so I hope you're writing. If you haven't written anything down before that I've said today, I hope at least by now that you're with me. So my first point is to position yourself to succeed. So looking back, when I was in Dubai, I was living a really comfortable life. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Dubai lifestyle. If not, you can go and check it out on Instagram. But it's a lavish, cushy lifestyle. So when I was there, I was living in a high-rise apartment. I was on yachts every weekend. We were traveling around the world. I mean, I was living my best life. I was there for 4 years, if that says anything. So I was having a good time. But the thing is, when I was there and I turned 25, I had to ask myself, are you going to be happy when you're 30 years old if this is what you have? If it's just passport stamps and different yacht parties and different dinners and different vacations, are you going to be content? And I knew that I wouldn't. I knew that my end goal was to own something, to build something, to build a legacy for myself. So I knew that I had to change positions, because I knew that in Dubai, in the position I was in, I wasn't able to create that for me personally. So you have to position yourself in order to succeed, if that's what you plan to do. And so the next takeaway that I have is to actually add value. So this is actually super important, because 42% of businesses actually fail due to lack of demand for their product. So with that being said, are you actually solving a problem with the product or service that you want to offer? Or are you doing things differently? So And here's how you can actually do things differently, is by combining your skills with your knowledge. So by definition, skills are the ability to do something well or an expertise. And unlike talents or natural abilities, usually skills have to be learned or developed over time. And then you have knowledge. Knowledge is the theoretical or practical understanding of a subject. So both skills and knowledge are both things that you learn from experience, whether it's professional experience or personal experience or whatever it may be. They're things that you gain over time that typically other people don't have. And so when you can combine the skills that you have with the knowledge that you have, that's when you can add value. That's when you can, when you know things that other people don't. That's when you do things that other people cannot. So you have to ask yourself, what are those things? What are the things that you can do that other people can't? And what is the knowledge that you have that other people don't? And when you can find a way how to use those things to solve a problem for people, that's when you have an opportunity to create a business and to give them a solution. So you have to make sure that you're actually adding value. Number 3, my third takeaway is to set goals. So this is a quote which I always remember. It says, "A dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A goal broken down into steps becomes a plan. A plan backed by actions makes your dreams come true." And that's a quote by Greg Reed. So you have to write your goals down. As I say it, a business without a plan is a hustle. So as I said, one of the first things I did when I started my business was to write a plan. You have to know how you plan to reach your customers, sell your product, how you plan to get money. All of these things, you need to actually have goals written down for them. And your goals should be SMART goals. So this also is an acronym for setting goals. And I'm not sure where I got this. Honestly, I think I just tend to Google stuff like how to set goals and stuff. So I picked this up somewhere. So you can write it down. SMART goals are S, specific and defined. They are measurable. They are achievable. They are relevant to your business and realistic. And then they are time bound. So if you have a goal that you've been working on and it has no time stamp on it, if it's a to-do list that you've been working on for 2 years, then you need to set a time on it. If it's not done by the end of this month, then you need to revisit that and figure out why. Your goals should also be measurable. The goal is to not have a great business. The goal is to sell $100,000 this year. So your goals have to be measurable. Your goals need to be specific. I'm not just trying to be an entrepreneur. I am trying to start a skincare company. You have to have specific goals. So over time, as you're working towards your goals, you will evaluate, you will revise, and you'll reset if you have to, but you have to keep working. And actually that brings me to my next point, which is to put in the work. And so I know people don't like to hear that, but at the end of the day, it just takes work. It takes a lot of work. And if you ask me, I'm someone who had to put in the work. I had to work in unpleasant places where people didn't even give me respect in order to keep my dream alive. And it wasn't that I was just working aimlessly. I wasn't just driving Uber for fun. I was doing it because part of my plan involved having money. In order to do that, I had to work to get money. So it does take work. And sometimes, people love to talk about being an entrepreneur, working for yourself, not having to work for somebody. But sometimes you're actually working harder for yourself. You're not just working 8 hours a day, you're actually working 24/7. So it is about working and having discipline. Another quote which I have, which I always say to myself, is you will obtain your goal if you maintain your course. So even the times when I felt like I was running on a hamster wheel, and it was, even the times that I felt like I was running on a hamster wheel and I felt like I was just working and working and not going anywhere, I had to definitely encourage myself. There was definitely times when I doubted myself, but I had to keep working on the plan in order to see that through. So, and I was confident that I reminded myself, no matter how slowly I'm moving according to plan. So, and that, like I said, it takes having discipline to follow through. And so that requires sometimes not leaving the job that you want to leave to work for yourself, but sometimes staying at that job and working late hours in the night to work on your dream. Or sometimes it involves not going out at night or not staying up late at night because you need to start your morning routine and you need to do the things that, you know, waking up early. It's waking up early for me and going to the gym so that I'm in a working mentality by 8 a.m. So sometimes those are the things that you need to do. It's about having the discipline and not just at work hours, but everything in your life aligning with your goals. So as I'm sure you've heard, you reap what you sow. When you reap the minimal, you will sow the minimal. And there's a Bible verse which tells the story of a man who did not reap when it was, or did not sow when it was cold. So when it was time to reap, he also did not reap. And it's self-explanatory. If you don't do the work, then you cannot expect to enjoy. And one last quote, which I'm going to leave you with: someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a seed many years ago. So doing the work, though, is necessary, but it's not good enough. You cannot stop at just doing the work. You actually have to be excellent at doing the work. And that is my fifth takeaway, which is to be excellent. So do not accept mediocrity. I'm always in pursuit of the best, and I'm not trying to be better than the next person. I'm just trying to be the very best, period. I'm trying to be my best. I'm always in competition with myself. So there's something which my dad used to always tell my siblings and I during report cards. And he would say, if they're not A's, they're Z's. So what he meant by that is, if they're not A's, then you were sleeping. And I want to be clear that when my dad said that, an A minus to him is not an A. If it's not an A or an A plus, then you were sleeping. And so with that being said, even though that sounds crazy, I've pretty much taken that same approach to everything I've done in my life. And I care about the small details of my entire business. So because of that, because of paying attention to each detail, I have been able to be successful. I'm able to land my retail distribution with Urban Outfitters. And I was able to as well not have to worry about going back to work from the pandemic. But because of that, you also will have a target on your back. And that's the last thing that they don't tell you. But the bigger you get, the bigger the target is on your back. And when you have a good idea, people are going to try to compete with you. And honestly, as far as business is concerned, imitation is not flattery. But I just want to encourage you, if that's your situation, then you remember why you started. Keep working, keep moving forward, and enjoy the journey. And like I said, you always have your lawyer on standby. So that's all the points I have for you guys today. I hope that you were able to gain a lot from this talk. I really enjoyed being here. Like she said before, Jay said that they are going to be raffling away 30 minutes with me, and she can tell you more about that. But I want to thank you all for listening, and see you next time.
Thank you so much. I think even with your 2 truths and a lie, I need more, and we can take this offline because I know we have so many questions. But the prearranged engagement or the arranged marriage breakup situation, I definitely need to know about that. But I know we have a lot of questions in the Q&A, so I'll just know I'm coming back for that story. But before we jump into that, I want to let everyone know, I know the chat is disabled for most people. That's something that we will work on in the future. Our Instagram and Facebook handles are Ghana Innov8 with an 8. So please use that to tag us. And the hashtag that we are using is GI8 Summit. So please use those throughout the conversation or throughout your social media updates so we can make sure we're all connected. All right, so we got a couple questions. I think this will be a quick one to start off, but someone asked, is your product still in Urban Outfitters? I know you mentioned it did launch. Are we still in Urban Outfitters?
Yes, it is. I have my face wash and now my black soap body wash is also in Urban Outfitters now.
Okay, great. So after this, you know, if you're not going to AfokoSkin directly, then you're going to Urban Outfitters to get the product. All right, so let's dive into a question that we got a couple times, was talking about capital and how to start a business with little or even no capital. How does that relate to your experience? How is it different? And what is your advice for people starting off a business with little to no capital?
Right, so that definitely speaks to my experience. Like I told you, I was grinding it out and completely self-funding my business. So there are different ways to raise capital. For me, like I said, I chose to go the self-funding route. You can also look to get investments through actual grants or actual investors. You can also raise money through taking out loans. And then also crowdfunding. So it actually depends on what type of business you're in and what are your resources available. It's not necessarily always feasible for people to actually self-fund their business, especially if it would take a greater initial investment than my business did per se. I think it's honestly important to just explore your options. And if you are going to have to go the route of raising money and finding investments, then you definitely need to be very serious about your writing a business plan and actually having your strategy together, because that's going to be important throughout the lifeline of your business, and especially in trying to raise funds. So you can Google about what like writing a pitch deck. What does a pitch deck entail? How do you present yourself to different investors? And yeah, that's what I would say about that.
Okay. And since you are in Urban Outfitters, can you talk a little bit more about your experience getting into a major retailer? One of the questions that came up were, how do you get connected with major retailers, both in the United States and potentially abroad?
So that same pitch deck that I just mentioned is actually going to also be very important when it comes to reaching out to retail distribution chains. I'm going to also encourage you to go back, work on your business plan if that's the thing, because also when you're reaching out to businesses, sometimes and a lot of times you only have one chance to present yourself. And if you don't do so well the first time, then you might not have another chance again. So basically, for my business, I was actually contacted by Urban Outfitters because they were looking for new products which were different to add to their skincare collection. So because my product was different and unique than anything out there on the market, and because I did a great job of creating a different type of branding, a different kind of packaging. And like I said, offering our traditional black soap shea butters, but at the standard that you would see in the modern market. Because I did that, it was able to bridge a gap and I was able to get their attention. So I actually didn't have to reach out and spend time reaching out to people and creating pitch decks at the time that I got my distribution. I have since then I've had to do that for different reasons. But I think it goes back to actually making sure that you have a product or service which adds value and that you can differentiate yourself from others. Because furthermore, when you are contacting these companies and when you are getting contacts, you also have to imagine that these buyers are getting contacts from maybe 200 different people a day. And so how is your product standing out from all the other ones? How are you doing anything different? When you master that and when you can explain that, that's where you have a place to stand. And that's when you can actually really focus on landing large retail distributions.
Okay. I know we only have 3 minutes left, so I'm trying to squeeze as many questions in as possible. You talked about influencer marketing. We know your Instagram is 10 out of 10, both your personal and your brand pages. What was your experience like using social media to draw attention to your business and also kind of differentiate yourself from the competition?
Yes. So, like I said, because even the packaging, the presentation of my brand was very different, it immediately garnered attention on Instagram. So from there, I made sure that I was posting consistently, because you have to make sure you can read on Google, the Instagram algorithm is always changing, but you have to play by the rules of Instagram if you want to succeed on Instagram. So I was making sure to post content on a regular basis, making sure to incentivize people to actually post. So maybe offering, when I first started, I sent out to all my customers a little card that was in the bag that said if they posted us on Instagram, then they would get $5 off of their next order. So immediately I not only got those sales, but I got 50 people posting on Instagram that they just bought my product. And that got the attention of, if they each had 200 people following them, which is kind of a minimum, then you can imagine how quickly your exposure grows. And so making sure that I was engaging with people on social media and on different platforms.
Okay, and then we have maybe like 30 seconds left for one more question. There's actually some questions specifically about your product. Can you talk a little bit more about your raw materials? Are you sourcing directly from Ghana or anywhere else in Africa or the US? I know it's proprietary information, so just share what you're comfortable with, but a lot of people want to know.
We're seeing like most of my products, at least for the black soap and shea butter, is sourced directly from Ghana. And then in terms of, I actually have a lot of other products which have ingredients from all over. So they come from different manufacturers as well.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Amelia. It was so great. I loved all your quotes. I think my favorite one was, what was it? I got to go back to my notes. It was a business without a plan as a hustle. That really took me, it really took me aback, because especially within like the hustle culture that we have, where everyone's like grinding, like what does that long-term look like? I think that was really important. So thank you for sharing. And thank you for your time. Audience, please follow AfokoSkin, follow Amelia's personal page, her other brand, her travel agency, Afoko Adventures, which she started with her sister. And yes, stay in touch with her and follow her journey. Thank you so much.
Having me.
All right. Perfect. Welcome back, Jasmine. All right, without any further delay, we're going to jump into our next speaker. So I'll pass it to Jasmine to introduce. And I think you're on mute, Jasmine. I see all that excitement and we can't hear it.
Aha! Hey, I'm here. Everyone wake up. Thank you so much, Ms. Quaye. We're going to shift right now to talk about some investment, some cryptocurrency. Let's get some money so that we can make these businesses. Yeah. So I want to introduce a friend of Ghana Innov8, someone who has helped us so much. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. Dr. Hans is a doctor of pharmacy from St. John's Fisher College. That's where he went. He was born and raised in Ghana, but he recognized the lack of investment literacy in independent and immigrant and minority households. So he took what he learned in Ghana, what he was learning in the States, and he discovered how rich families built their fortune using the stock market. So he decided to become an investor. He studied, he did the work, he read 400 books, 40,000 financial articles, and he spent 11 years pursuing mastery. Dr. Hans now teaches his proven strategies, and he's impacted the lives of countless professionals, and he's placed so many families on the path to generational wealth and success. We are so blessed to have him today. He is the most trusted investment tutor in the country. And without further ado, I'd love to introduce Dr. Hans Boateng. You're on mute, Dr. Hans.
There we go. Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect, perfect. What a great opportunity I have to share with you a topic that I find so passionate, and that is the topic of money. So first and foremost, let me begin by telling you all a story. So, you know, as an immigrant, as a Ghanaian, you get to the US, and the first thing that your parents and every single relative tells you is that you need to work very hard, okay? Get a high-paying job, so like a degree that pays you, you know, a lot of money. And if you do that, you'll be successful. So I followed that. You know, I went to school. I have a Doctor of Pharmacy degree. I also have an MBA. It was a Path of Distinction MBA program. Okay, so I followed the path of what I was told to pursue. And guess what? When I got my job, that did not prevent me from landing in a job where my boss decided to turn against me one day. And I want to share that story with you. I was working as a pharmacist, working extremely hard. Up until that point, you know, everyone has the dream of being better, building wealth, and being able to take care of your family and relatives, right? And, you know, I just go to work, I focus on working, that was it. Well, guess what? When my wife and we purchased our first home, I remember like it was yesterday. My boss, who was a director at that time, came to me and was like, hey, Hans, how could you afford that house in, you know, this city? And I looked at her, I was like, oh, what do you mean by how could I afford the house? And you all, from that day, that lady was after me. It was torture coming to work every single day, knowing that someone was looking and waiting for you to make a simple mistake so that they can either report you to the board of pharmacy to have all of your hard work taken away from you, or that you make a mistake at the job and then she gets to fire you. So, you know, me being the person that I am, I was like, there's no way that this lady is going to find something negative about my work. So I did my best to make sure, like when I came in, I would print a sheet of paper and I would follow exactly what I need to do every single day to the second. That was how crazy it was. And guess what? That didn't even protect me. One day, this lady left the pharmacy unannounced. And it didn't occur to me at that time that just because the director had left, I couldn't go for lunch that day. Every Ghanaian who's listening understands this. In the hospital that I, you know, worked at the lunch section, they only sell like tacos and like, let's just say tacos and, you know, American food. So my director knew that I couldn't eat any food at the hospital. So she intentionally left. So that day for lunch, when I just went for a quick, you know, 3-minute, 5-minute drive to go get my lunch, little did I know that was the trap that she had set for me. The following day, when I came to work, she walked me to the HR department and I was wondering what was going on. And I sat down and they said, Hans, you abandoned the pharmacy. And I was like, wait, what are you talking about? Every day I eat lunch. What do you mean by abandon the pharmacy? They were like, yeah, there wasn't a pharmacist on site. And even though the restaurant you went to pick up your food was 3 minutes from here, essentially you abandoned the pharmacy. And we have to move forward with suspending you pending a decision on your employment. Friends, I share with you that I came to America. I just wanted to follow the rules, go to school, get a good job, work very hard, get a degree. And even with that, I could not protect myself from that boss that I had. Well, God being so good, and I repeat that, God being so good, even though my director terminated my employment, the vice president of the company came back 2 weeks later and reinstated me back to the same job. So now I had to work with someone who tried to fire me but couldn't. You can imagine the job or the work environment. Every single day, I come in, have to see this person. I have to greet this person. Why? Because you need the money, right? People say money is not everything. Money is everything. Because of money, I had to go into a job that I hated. Why? Because money is important. So yeah, every day I went. For 6-7 months, this boss tried to set me up again. This time she failed, she got caught, and God being so good, she got fired. But friends, even if this boss is leaving, guess what? All the technicians and all of the other employees at the pharmacy were hired by this lady. So if I stayed, sooner or later, someone would retaliate. So I was smart. I said, hey, let me request a transfer from this hospital, right? You know, I'm being strategic here. I requested a transfer, was approved, I was guaranteed the job, and I was asked to go home for 1 week. I went home for 1 week. After a week had passed, I called in to ask about my transfer, and they told me, oh, Hans, we're so sorry. We ended up giving the job to someone else. They gave the job to someone else, a job they promised me. They literally handed it to someone else. And they told me, just go to the website, our company website, and go and apply for another job. And we guarantee you that we're going to put you at the top of our list. And friends, that was the last day that I worked at a pharmacy. That was the last day I worked at a pharmacy and also as a pharmacist. I took a leap of faith to do what I believe I've been called to do, which is to teach people in our community, immigrants, minorities, people of color, underrepresented groups, women, about the topic of money. Why? Because money is freedom. There are two things that individuals need to have which provides them freedom, okay? One is a business that allows you to earn money within your own capacity, okay? So you don't depend on anyone else for that income, okay? So first is a business. The next, you need investments. Investments that will grow, okay, without you having to work for money. And those investments over time will provide you freedom. But I want to share with you, there is one investment that by far is the best investment, and in my opinion, the best asset I have ever stumbled upon in my lifetime. Now, before I dive into this investment, I want to share this. What I'm about to share with you should be considered educational in nature, okay? Let's go ahead and dive in. Friends, that investment or that asset is Bitcoin. Now, many of you listening to this, you've probably heard about Bitcoin, and maybe you don't know what it is, okay? By the end of our discussion today, you are going to be very well acquainted with what Bitcoin is. So first and foremost, let me start with this. Now, I want everyone listening, okay, whether you're in the US, you're in the UK, Australia, right? I know a couple of you are tuning in from Australia. Regardless of wherever you're tuning in from, even Ghana, okay? I want you to imagine you have $100,000 in your bank account, okay? So just envision it for a moment, $100,000 in your bank account, okay? Now, you need to send $50,000 to a close family relative, okay? So you're with me. You have $100,000 in your bank account. You need to send $50,000 to a relative. How are you going to do that? Tell me. And I want you to imagine that relative is in a different country. Please, how are you going to send $50,000 to that relative in a different country? And let me even add a caveat, paying less than $1 or less than $2 for that transaction. Let's make it less than $1. How do you send $50,000 to a relative in a different country, paying less than $1? The answer is, if you used the regular banking system, $50,000, it's going to be very hard for you to transact that. You might need to split it up into small pieces. It might end up taking you about a week, maybe 2 weeks, or maybe a month to get that kind of transaction across, okay? Well, guess what? If you wanted to send $50,000 using the Bitcoin network, that transaction will occur in less than 10 minutes. In actuality, there is different technology being built, which is going to get that transaction there in a few seconds. $50,000 zips across one country, it lands in another country on an individual's mobile device, and it's cost less than $1 to process that transaction. Are you beginning to understand the power of Bitcoin? Well, let me give you another example. Let's say you live in a country that is corrupt. Let's say you live in a country that is unsafe. And God being so good, you have, let's say, about, give and take, $100,000 worth of assets. That's my my favorite number, as you can tell. So you have $100,000 worth of assets, or you have $100,000 in a savings account, but you live in a corrupt country. Now, you've been granted a visa, or you've been granted permanent status in a different country. Okay, I want you to think about that for a second. Okay. Now, the country that you're living in, which is corrupt or unsafe, they are not allowing you to take your 100,000 with you wherever you're going. They are not allowing you because they control the banks. Remember, the banks have to be licensed by the government. So they are not allowing you to take any money or property from the country. How do you leave the country with your 100,000? Guess what? Bitcoin. If you buy $100,000 worth of Bitcoin, sit in a plane, fly to any country on earth with an internet connection. The moment that you land, guess what? $100,000 is waiting for you in any country, in any city on earth that has internet. You have access to your money. That is the power of Bitcoin. So I've given you two incredible examples that I want you to think about. Why am I so bullish, or why am I so passionate about Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin is freedom, okay? No one can take your Bitcoin away from you. If you own Bitcoin, no one can take it away from you. They can't take it with force, okay? Unless you choose to give your Bitcoin or send your Bitcoin to someone, no one can take it away from you. Literally, Bitcoin, to me, presents the hope for humanity. What do I mean by that? When I had that job, my boss had a say whether or not I could keep my job. No one has a say whether I can hold on to my Bitcoin. A government has no say. My parents have no say. My wife cannot even take my Bitcoin away from me. For husbands, I'm sure you'd appreciate that. If you buy Bitcoin, and I'm not saying my wife wants to take my Bitcoin away, she's a Bitcoiner. But if you own Bitcoin, it is yours. It's sovereign. And guess what? There are only 21 million Bitcoins which will ever be in circulation. So I want you to think for a second. Only 21 million coins will be in circulation. What does that mean? Well, let's look at the world. How many people are in the world? Give and take 7 billion people, okay? How many of those 7 billion will want to use a technology that enables or allows them, right, to have access to this global digital currency? In my opinion, I believe everyone with an internet access will want to own a piece of this digital, this digital asset, or they want to use this payment network. Okay. Now, what happens when everyone wants to use it? Now, I'm not going to go to economics on you because I want to keep it simple. Bitcoin has a fixed number of coins that will ever be around, 21 million. Currently, about 18.5 million of those 21 millions are available to everyone. Okay, so 18.5 million are available right now. Roughly about 2 to 2.5 million will be created over the next 100 years. So over the next 100 years, only 2.5 million more Bitcoins will be created, okay? So the cap is what? 2.21 million, okay? So when you have an asset that has a fixed quantity, and over time, the world will begin to realize what this asset does, the way that it protects people's wealth, the way that it grows over time, the way that no one can take it away from you, the way that you can just get on a plane and move to any country on earth and you have your asset with you. Once people begin to understand what I'm explaining to you, in my opinion, everyone will want Bitcoin. What that is going to do is it is going to drastically send the price of Bitcoin through the roof. It is my belief and estimate that Bitcoin is going to grow to $1 million per coin over the next 10 years. As we speak, Bitcoin is roughly worth about $35,000. Yes, there's a possibility it will grow from $35,000 to $1 million per coin over the next 10 years. As millionaires buy into Bitcoin, as investment institutions buy into Bitcoin, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, right? As all of these institutions buy into Bitcoin, what do you think is happening? More money is moving into this global payment system, which has a fixed quantity. So when you have a fixed quantity of something and there's more demand for that thing, what does it do? It forces price to appreciate. As more people get to know about Bitcoin, friends, it is going to continue to appreciate. But I'm sure you're probably thinking and wondering, oh, well, one Bitcoin costs $35,000. Does it mean I need $35,000 to buy Bitcoin? Not at all. Bitcoin, so one Bitcoin is divided into 100 million Satoshis, okay? The anonymous founder of Bitcoin, the gentleman's name is, and we don't know if it's a man, okay? So it could be a man, it could be a woman, it could be a group of people. The anonymous name or that person's pseudonym is Satoshi Nakamoto. And this person pretty much programmed Bitcoin in such a way that every one Bitcoin is subdivided into 100 million Satoshis. What that means is if you listening today wanted to get exposure to Bitcoin, if you wanted to have one of the best assets in the world right this moment, you can get access to it for as little as $1. And if you're listening from other countries, you can, convert that, right? So if you're listening from Ghana, it could be 5.9 cities. Gives you access to this scarce digital asset. You know the fascinating thing, as Africans, another core tenet that is taught by our parents is buy or build a house back home. I'm going to wager that 50% of the people listening to this, or more, probably 70%, have been told at some point in time by, or encouraged at some point in their lifetime, to build a home, right? Maybe back home. Maybe you live in the US, but they tell you, hey, go and build back home. So in essence, you know and understand the value of an asset, right? Most people view the house or the property as an asset. Guess what? Bitcoin, if it succeeds in doing what it's meant to do, which I'm a core believer Bitcoin is going to do that, will be much valuable than any plot of land that you can buy, okay? It will be way more valuable than any house you can build back home, okay? Why? Because Bitcoin as an asset, you understand it's scarce. Two, that property or land that is just sitting there, sure, it can grow, but I can guarantee you it's not going to be growing at the percentage that Bitcoin has been growing for the past 11 years. The past 11 years, Bitcoin has been growing at about 200% every year for 11 years. Literally, if a person was investing $10 every month from 2010 until 2021, that $10 a month, which is about $120 a day, would be worth about $3 million if that money was invested in Bitcoin. Now, tell me or show me any property of land or any house in Ghana that if you were putting $10 a month in would grow at 200% for the past 11 years. The answer is there's none. There's no house, there's no asset, there's no financial instrument that can even mirror these kind of returns. So if you were to ask me, Dr. Hans, would you rather build a beautiful, lavish house in Ghana, or would you buy Bitcoin? I'll tell you this, I'll buy Bitcoin right now, and Bitcoin is going to grow at a rate that will allow me to buy 10 beautiful, lavish homes in Ghana 10 years from now. But guess what? I don't need 10 beautiful, lavish homes. So I let go of that one lavish home for the next 10 years because I don't live in Ghana, okay? And by investing that money in an asset that I believe in, right? I'm able to afford 10 of those homes 10 years from now. And guess what? Even at the 10-year mark, Bitcoin is gonna continue to grow. So maybe in 20 years, I might be able to afford 20 of those same homes. Meanwhile, the person who took all of their money and dumped it into one property not only has the house, but they have a house that is essentially, depreciating over time because the house is going to be old 10 or 20 years from now. So you're going to need like new equipment. You're going to need to paint the house. You need to pay for electricity. You need to pay for water. You need to pay for everything. Guess what? Bitcoin, I don't need to pay for anything, and it's growing at a hyperbolic rate. I'm sharing all of these with you because I want you to just begin to understand the power of this asset. Let me take you back to the late 1990s. Okay, so let's say 1995-ish. Most people might not realize that that was when the internet was getting into the spotlight, right? And many of these new companies, the Apples, the Microsofts, the Googles, the Amazons, they are coming into the spotlight around this time, and the internet was the main driver. I want you to imagine the first time you got behind a computer and typed www.hotmail.com. You hit enter, and even though you are an individual in Ghana or you are an individual anywhere in the world, we all landed on this one site. What the internet allowed us to do was the internet allowed data or information to be transferred across an electronic system to anywhere on Earth. That was the purpose of the internet. So that is Web 1.0, okay? An internet browser, you go www.whateverit.com, and you are zipped immediately to that place, and you have access to the data and the information on that website. Well, then we move to Web 2.0. Web 2.0 essentially was us being able to have access to smartphones and be able to access apps on that smart device. So all of a sudden, on your smart device, you can have Facebook app, you can have Netflix app, you can have Apple Music, you can have Uber. Think about it. Then, like, businesses were built on the internet, Web 1.0. Then you have Web 2.0, which then created this new ecosystem. For my brothers and sisters who live in the US or Europe or Australia or anywhere else, you know what it's like as a dark-skinned person trying to hail a taxi. The taxi might stop, and this happened to me once when I got here to the US actually. I stopped the taxi, the person drove by, stopped, and when the person saw me, they took off, right? You and I will say that is not right. Well, guess what? The internet solves well, I shouldn't say every, but the internet definitely solved this problem. So in a sense, you can say the internet helped solve for, racist taxi drivers. When Uber built their app on top of the internet, so as Web 2.0, all of a sudden, if I, Hans, need a taxi, I hit a button. The taxi driver, when they are accepting who to pick up, they don't show them my face. So they click accept, and guess what? That taxi driver is coming to pick me up. And that taxi driver has to be nice to me because there's a review system that is monitoring them. So all of a sudden, the internet is acting as a checkpoint for human error and making things better. So that is what, by leveraging the internet, Uber was able to do. Obviously, Netflix, making it cheap and affordable for any and everyone who has access to Netflix to be able to watch, movies, shows, things of that nature. Well, guess what? We're moving to Web 3.0. That is when on Web 1.0 and on Web 2.0, you layer on top of it a payment infrastructure. Remember, I said the internet, so Web 1 and Web 2 allows for the transmission of data and information. Web 3.0 allows for individuals to be able to transact or transfer something of value. And friends, human existence is built on our ability to exchange one thing for another. That is essentially what powers cities, countries, homes, the world. Everyone cannot make everything. So someone makes something and you come with your money and you exchange it for that thing. And essentially that is what powers, like I said, cities, countries, the world, and even a home. Well, now we are having the ability to transact being layered on top of the internet. And many people don't even realize this is happening. It is my belief that Bitcoin is going to be the main dominant internet money or internet currency. Sure, there might be others. There might be Dogecoin. Okay, shout out to anyone who has Doge. I have a little bit of Doge in my crypto wallet. But the majority of my investments are in Bitcoin and Ethereum. But I believe Bitcoin is going to be the main, let's call it the main dominant currency or asset upon which the internet is going to transact. So because of that, it provides a greater use case to Bitcoin and other, obviously other cryptocurrencies, but specifically for Bitcoin. For those that don't know, when we talk about money, right, or currency, what makes something a currency? There are 5 properties that make something a currency. A currency has to be portable, meaning, you can carry it around, okay? A currency has to be divisible. You can slash it into, small pieces, or you can have small denominations of it so that you can exchange it with others. So a currency has to be what? Portable, meaning you can move it around easily. A currency needs to be divisible, small pieces or fractions so you can trade. A currency needs to be recognizable. If someone gives you this currency, they have to know it is real, it is authentic, okay? A currency has to be durable. Durable meaning you cannot use bananas as a currency because it will go bad, or you cannot use fruits as a currency because it's gonna go bad. And lastly, the most important value of any currency is that the currency has to be scarce. Scarce. There shouldn't be an abundance of this thing around, because every additional, printing or creation of a currency reduces the overall value of the currencies in circulation. And I want to stress on this because most people, because you just wake up every day, you focus on, I'm going to work, you don't understand how monetary policy works. At the end of the day, the world has a fixed supply of assets, whether it's businesses, stocks, let's even leave stocks out of it. The world has a fixed supply of assets, real estate, businesses, gold, right? Well, if all of a sudden, let's say you have 1 million currencies. Well, those 1 million currencies will chase after all of those assets, which are fixed. So all of a sudden, when you have, let's say a country decides to print an additional 1 million of currency. Now, what happens is you have 2 million currencies going after those same fixed number of assets. So what that means is that the fixed assets have to double in price because the currency is more. So now the fixed assets are double their value. What that means is if you were working for a company and you were being paid $100,000, you can tell it's my favorite number. Well, if the fixed assets around you are worth double and the cost of, the things you buy are now worth double, it means that you as an individual, half of your wealth has been stolen from you without someone coming into your house and taking the money from your pocket or from your bank account. So literally the creation of money by any country is a way for them to steal wealth from the people. But most people don't know, they don't understand it. So now imagine having an asset that has a fixed supply, 21 million. It cannot be controlled by a government. It cannot be controlled by a bank. It cannot be controlled by your parents. It cannot be controlled by your spouse. It cannot be controlled by your kids. It cannot be controlled by anyone. There are only 21 million of them. So if the world wants to keep printing and printing and printing money, if developing countries, right, want to just, maybe this party is in power and they just want to misuse financial resources within a country, well, go ahead. I'm holding Bitcoin. Go ahead. Spend away, print money, misuse government resources. I don't care. I'm holding Bitcoin. Bitcoin has no affiliation with any country, anywhere. That is the power of Bitcoin. I'm going to end with this. Bitcoin or crypto assets, in my opinion, are assets that should not be traded. The goal of these types of assets is not that I'm buying and selling it or anything of that nature, or that I bought Bitcoin and it's gone up to this amount, so I'm selling it to take the profits. No. If you own a piece of land in a prime real estate area, let's imagine you own a parking lot in Manhattan, or you own a storefront in Manhattan, or you own, a skyscraper in Manhattan. Will you sell it? Will you sell it? The answer is no. You don't sell it. You can rent it out to someone. You can borrow against it. You can allow it to appreciate in value. And guess what? Bitcoin allows you to do all of those things. You can lend out your Bitcoin and make money. You can borrow against Bitcoin. Banks, not every bank, but there are several financial institutions who will gladly give you money to just borrow your Bitcoin. And they have to give it back. We are looking at one of the most pristine, incredible assets in a century, not even a century, throughout humanity. Literally an asset that has a finite scarce supply of 21 million. And we know this because it's been programmed. An asset that doesn't encourage violence. Because once again, you cannot take someone's Bitcoin. The person has to give it to you, assuming they own their Bitcoin in their own wallet. You can't take it. So because of that, Bitcoin forces peace on earth, because you can't take it with force. It's a powerful invention that was created. For me, I've seen many times where people in our communities, immigrants, minorities, we come to the US, we're working so hard, we miss investment opportunities. We didn't invest in tech stocks in 1995 or 1997 and ride the tech wave. We would be multi-millionaires if we had placed a few $100s into a few tech companies back in 1995, 1997. We would all be multi-millionaires with just a few $100. And everyone listening to this right now can afford a few $100. We would be multi-millionaires. But guess what? No one told us that technology and the internet would spawn multi-trillion-dollar companies or hundreds of billion dollars worth of companies. Guess what? Today, I am the messenger coming to you. And I want you to understand Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, is at this point exactly like it was in 1995 when the internet came into existence. Right now in 2021 is like 1995 for the internet, but for crypto. So over the next 10, 15, 20 years, there are multi-trillion-dollar companies that will be built off of this crypto infrastructure. And for me, I'm making it my purpose to make sure that every immigrant, minority, underrepresented person does not miss this boat. At this conference that I'm attending this weekend, which is the Bitcoin 2021 conference, let me share something with you. 90 to 95% of attendees are white. Less than 5% look like me. Less than 5%. But guess what? I am standing in the crowd as all of us, because guess what? I am bringing that information. And remember, this is a free conference. When I'm, hosting workshops, people are paying several hundreds of dollars. When I'm working one-on-one with clients, they are paying thousands of dollars. They're getting this information for free with the help of Ghana Innov8. And obviously through my social media channels as well. For those who follow me on Instagram at The Investing Tutor, I'm consistently educating, sharing, and bringing this information to all, because I believe everyone needs to know about this. So I'm sure the question is, Dr. Hans, where can I get crypto? I'm going to name a few different exchanges. You can go off, do your own research, right? Learn about what I've shared with you. Go and research. There's so much information out there, okay? But some of my favorites, there's Coinbase, okay? It's a great, let's call them a brokerage firm for crypto, allowing people to get access to crypto. There's Cash App. I actually saw Jack Dorsey, who is the founder of Cash App and the creator of Twitter. I saw him at the conference this weekend, and I was blown away. He is so passionate about Bitcoin, and specifically, it almost makes you wonder, like, wow, what has he seen to be so, to have that much conviction for this digital asset? So Cash App is a simple and easy way for individuals to begin stacking or collecting Satoshis. Okay, Satoshis, like I said, is a fraction of a Bitcoin. So I want everyone listening, when you're out there and you're like, hey, I'm buying my sats, S-A-T-S, right? Sats, which is short for Satoshis. When you're like, I'm buying my sats, or I'm stacking my sats, or I'm getting exposure to Bitcoin by buying fractions of Bitcoin. Know that you are building incredible wealth and legacy for yourself. So Coinbase, Cash App, there are other apps as well for individuals who are international. Maybe someone is tuning in from like Ghana or something. There's Binance. Binance allows individuals globally to be able to have access to it. For people in Europe, I believe there's Kraken, which also gives exposure to cryptocurrency. I'm going to end with this. I thought I would be able to talk about stocks. Well, I'm not going to present on stocks, but perhaps maybe I can share a couple of my favorite topics on stocks. No, not topics, excuse me. I'll share some of my favorite stocks so that you all know. So off the top of my head, if I could pick 3 companies or 3 stocks that I'm extremely bullish on, I'd say the first is Tesla. Okay, and I'm not going to explain why, because we have just about 2 more minutes and then we go into the Q&A. So Tesla is my number 1 by far. Okay, number 2 to say is Amazon. Okay, and number 3, I'm going to say Apple. Tesla, Amazon, Apple. Extremely bullish on these. I see them as risk-free. I'm not saying they are risk-free, but I view them as risk-free investments. For individuals who are curious, where can I go to get access or exposure to stocks on a mobile device? There's Cash App, there's Robinhood, there's Public, right? For individuals in Europe, there's Trading 212, okay? So let me end with this. I think we have about 1 minute. Trying to see which thing to go with. Let's see what's placed on my heart. I'm gonna go with this one. It's a little bit controversial. So as immigrants, we have a desire to look rich. We want people to see us like driving that fancy car, like every single day that I walk up to my Tesla to sit in that car, I'm like, whoa, man, I've landed. Like I'm in this country and I'm representing. We just have this feeling of pride. Friends, the fact and the truth is, I value my Bitcoin, I value my stocks, I value my investments 1,000 times than I do my Tesla. And everyone who follows me knows I freaking love Tesla. But that should speak volumes. What I mean by this is, sure, look good, look fancy, dress up, buy designer clothes, buy whatever you want. But before you do that, make sure you have an allocation to building wealth, because I've just seen over and over and over again, immigrants, we come to the US, we work, and at the end of our lifetime in this country, we barely even have $5,000 to $10,000 to our name. And I think we can change that if we begin accumulating assets. So yeah, you all, I'll open it up to questions right now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hans. Wow, this chat is so crazy right now. So I'm gonna try to get to everyone. I know everyone has a lot of questions for Dr. Hans. I'm gonna just jump right into it. I know you didn't talk about stocks specifically, but someone was wondering why, if they should pick crypto over stocks or if they should combine them both. What is your opinion on that?
That's a very, very good question. So the way that I view it is this: as an individual who is coming new into this space, I would say if you're new, think about it as 10% of your funds can go towards crypto, and then 90% of the funds should go towards investment funds and then stocks, okay? So that's how I look at it. And for anyone who doesn't know what investment funds are, what stocks are, you can just go to my website, theinvestingtutor.com, and for free, I break all of that down. But 10% crypto, 90% stock allocations.
I like what you said when you said that it's meant for you to have if you have that real estate, because I'm not going to lie. I was in Atlanta. A lot of people from Georgia Tech. I didn't go to Georgia Tech, but they would talk about Bitcoin. This was like 2012. And I was like, whatever, like, what is this? Like, what?
Yep.
Now those kids all are doing very well. And
multi-millionaires if they were buying.
Tesla. I was sat in a Tesla 2012. And I was like, oh, but anyways, but a lot of people wonder and question if it's volatile now. What do you have to say about that? Is it volatile? And what do you say about that?
I'd say it doesn't matter. And the reason I say it doesn't matter is home prices go up and down all the time. But guess what? Because a person is not thinking that they are selling their house, they don't care about the value of their home, right? 1 month, your house could be worth 500,000. Another month, it could be worth 450. That is a $50,000 loss. But the homeowner doesn't care, or the thought never even comes to their mind because they are not thinking they are going to sell it. The only time we think about the price or the value of something is when we're about to sell it. And I don't know if I said this, but rule number 1, never sell or trade Bitcoin. Let's just leave it to never sell Bitcoin, because I know there are some professionals who like to trade, and you are more than fair to do whatever you want, but never sell Bitcoin. So volatility doesn't matter. Bitcoin can be up to 100,000 and drop down to 5,000, and I'll be buying more because there are only 21 million of those coins and there are 7 billion people.
I definitely did that, Dr. Hans, so don't be like me. So no, we're curious. Okay, and I know you touched on this, but and you can reiterate. They were wondering why not Dogecoin? Why not, like, why is Bitcoin considered the main asset? I just want to reiterate that for people that were wondering. I know you answered before.
The fixed supply. There are only 21 million Bitcoins that will ever be in circulation. Dogecoin, 5 billion Dogecoins are created every single year. So literally every year, 5 billion Dogecoins will be created. What that means is that you need more people buying those 5 billion for the value of Dogecoin to continue to increase. So Dogecoin is more of a coin that, because 5 billion coins are being created every year, it's the kind of coin which will be great for transactions. Like, I want to buy coffee, I'm going to use Doge. Or Dogecoin can grow, but it just cannot, over the long term, in my opinion, because of the 21 million fixed supply of Bitcoin, it just cannot grow at the magnitude that, Bitcoin has or will grow.
So what is your opinion on the sustainability concerns for cryptocurrency mining?
So the truth about it is that individuals are just looking for something to talk negatively about Bitcoin. I mean, if I was the government, if I was, financial institutions, I would try and kick and scream and yell, right? Everyone was yelling at Elon Musk. Oh, look at this crazy man thinking he can put batteries in a car. Does he think like cars are toy cars? You can't put a battery in a car for the car to drive around. And today we have Teslas, right? The next thing is, oh, how many headlines have you seen? Oh, a car crash by a Tesla, and no other car is on the news when, when the car gets into an accident, but a Tesla is like everywhere. So they're just looking for a narrative. The truth is, the way that Bitcoin is created, it incentivizes the miners to seek out the lowest possible cost of energy. And often, dirty energy like coal and oil, right? They are way more expensive. Whereas renewable energy, right? Let's say solar energy or wind energy, one, you're getting it for free, essentially. Those essentially cost less. So you're going to see that Bitcoin is actually going to force those miners to search out those renewable energy sources. And eventually that's what's going to happen. But like I say, this Bitcoin narrative is playing out, and over the next 10 years is where you're going to see the population in the world get to know about it. You're going to see miners move towards a clean energy initiative. You're going to see institutions and rich families, move into it.
One person wanted to know, you mentioned Elon Musk, and they were saying, like, what do you think about the influence of celebrities? Because they said, kind of like what you were talking about, crypto is supposed to be like, the hands of the average investor. So if you have someone like Elon Musk, like fluctuating stuff, like how does that affect us? So that's where people's hesitations sometimes are.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, if you're not selling Bitcoin, you shouldn't care once again about the volatility. But let's talk about Elon Musk tweeting. Guess what? At the end of the day, Bitcoin is in a market that is not, you cannot manipulate Bitcoin over the long term. You can manipulate it in a short time frame. What do I mean by this? Bitcoin itself, the code, the infrastructure cannot be manipulated. But if a super rich and wealthy guy like Elon Musk tweets something and it causes people to sell, well, supply and demand. If you have more people selling an asset than you have people who want to buy it, more sellers than buyers, their price is going to go down. So that's where you see the price decline, because there's more sellers than there are buyers. Mm-hmm. Then in a couple of days, people are like, hey, why did we sell this thing? There are only 21 million of them. Then, either the people who currently own Bitcoin they keep buying more, like what I do, by the way, letting you all know, I set an automatic withdrawal on Cash App so that I'm always stacking sats. So every 2 weeks, Cash App automatically is withdrawing money from my account to keep accumulating Bitcoin, right? So those holders are consistently, when they see the price dip, they are going back in to buy more.
And someone was wondering what you think of the government backing digital currencies. The Bank of Ghana has started to build an infrastructure for each city. So what are your thoughts on that?
My thought is that if Bitcoin was not created, governments will not be looking at digital currencies. So let's give a round of applause for Bitcoin. Friends, obviously the government has looked at this technology and they are saying, wow, this thing is phenomenal. You can literally zip money across the internet to anywhere on earth in seconds. Maybe we should have our own. But guess what? The government is not looking to have 21 million coins. The government wants to print more coins when they feel like it, okay? And remember, the more money that's printed or created, the less valuable that money is, and the higher the assets, the fixed assets are around or in that economy for that money. So the government is essentially just taking paper money and then giving it a new branding as digital currency. But at the end of the day, they control it. So I'm still stacking my sats.
Great. I'm going to ask one more question and then we'll wrap it up. I hope I got to everyone. I was trying to get to everyone. There was a lot of debate going on in the chat, Dr. Hans. So
we can give them an additional 5 minutes. And let's get through some more questions.
And they were just wondering what you would recommend investing monthly. I know you said that before, but I just want to go back.
Sure. Like I said, if an individual is new in crypto, I'm thinking 90% allocation to stocks and investment funds and 10% allocation to crypto. So let's say a person is interested in investing $100 every month. Well, that means 90 of those dollars will be going to stocks and investment funds. And if you're curious, what percentage of the 90 should go to what? 45 to stocks, 45% to funds, right? And then 10%. So then $10 to crypto. But do you know the beauty of crypto? Even though people are just putting 10% of their funds in, because of the way crypto is going to grow, crypto is eventually going to be worth 90% of your portfolio, because it's going to keep doing its thing. Okay, it's going to keep disrupting financial institutions. It's going to keep sucking in all of that additional money that the governments keep printing, because there's only 21 million of them. And I mean, I'm just here for the ride.
But I know that you said we should hold on to it, but they were wondering what point do you suggest cashing it in? So never cash it in ever, or
never cash it in. If I have a property which is valuable, a bank is going to be so happy to give me money. They'll gladly lend me money on that property. Right now, this moment in the US, right, which is what I know, you have $100,000 worth of Bitcoin. I can get access to okay, I have $100,000 worth of Bitcoin. I can get access to anywhere between $10,000 to $50,000 cash instantly. And my Bitcoin is serving as the guarantee. Not to get on a tangent here, but the only reason why banks lend on real estate is because you cannot take the real estate anywhere. It's a fixed asset. Bitcoin is a fixed asset. Once it exists, no one can take it. So if I give my keys to that financial institution and they also can see that, oh, the currency is there and they have some control over it, they will gladly lend me money on that currency. And guess what? Because I'm not selling, even though I've lent out that currency, if that currency is growing at 20, 50, 100%, I'm only paying 4% or 5% on the loan. So in essence, my Bitcoin is making me money and still growing, and I still own it. And I still got the cash and I didn't sell it.
okay.
So rule number one,
Don't sell.
never sell Bitcoin.
I don't know how many of you have broken rule number one, like me, but but that's what we have, Dr. Hans.
Yeah.
I know we're getting close to time. I just one more that I'm just gonna ask is they wanted to know what the opinion that many hindrances surrounding wallet ID retrieval. There's been a lot of forgotten IDs that resulted in millions going to waste. Is there a way trading platforms and researchers are looking to make this possible, more reliable? And then people are concerned about the apps like Coinbase because they've heard it's not secure.
Coinbase is extremely secure, just incredibly secure. Cash App is also incredibly secure. To the point about wallets, that's the beauty of Bitcoin. If you own your wallet, you own your Bitcoin. It's like an email. If you are going to send an email to someone, and my email is, let's say Dr. Hans at theinvestingtutor.com, and you decide to write D and forget the R and then type Hans. So you write D Hans and you send it. Well, it's not Bitcoin's fault, okay? It's not the internet's fault. It is your damn fault. So individuals need to double and triple check, because if you send $100,000 across the Bitcoin network and you miss a single number, there's no customer service. And that's the beauty of Bitcoin. If I choose to send money to anyone or any country or any company, no one can stop it. So the power of Bitcoin places an enormous responsibility in our hands. But the beauty of it is we don't have to remember typing an address. Now you can just point your camera to a QR code, and that QR code will zip it to the right address, to the right wallet for you.
Thank you, Dr. Hans. One more time, I just want you to reiterate you went through the countries of where they can get cryptocurrency. Could we just say that once so everyone can say it again? And then from there, we'll wrap up, Dr. Hans. Like he said, you all have to do your own research as well too. Everything is his expert advice, but I implore you to do more research so that you don't make mistakes that I have made.
Absolutely. So, this announcement is coming here first. I am in the process of creating a Bitcoin Africa club. And it's going to be launching very soon. So for those of you who are connected with me or follow me on Instagram, I'll be putting more details out soon. This asset is just so important. I do not want anyone in our community to miss out on it. But with that being said, in terms of where individuals can get exposure or access to crypto, in the US, like I said, there's Coinbase, there's Gemini, okay? There is Cash App. To me, I feel Cash App is the simplest. If you're African, you have Cash App because that is how you're sending money around, okay? Hey, Cash App me this, That same thing that you're using to send money around is your wallet. And the beauty of Cash App, or at least the reason why I think it's powerful is because Jack Dorsey, the founder of Square, which is Cash App, he is such a Bitcoin maximalist that, man, like I honestly don't even believe like the government can go to him and say, hey, we want people's Bitcoin. Like, I don't think he's even going to agree. So I'm a huge believer in him. At some point, individuals can look into like their own wallet, but as a beginner, don't risk it. Just an app on your phone, like a Cash App or a Coinbase.
What about Canada? Someone said I'm in Canada, we don't have Cash App. And they were saying in Ghana, Cash App is Cash App in Ghana if you're in Ghana. No.
So now the next crypto exchange that people can look into is Binance. So Binance is a world, exchange, right? Anyone, essentially anywhere, even in the US, can get access to Binance, BINANCE. Okay, so Ghana can get access to Binance. My little brother downloaded Binance and he has crypto. Okay, he's stacking his sats. In Europe, Kraken is a major exchange, KRAKEN. Okay, in Europe, right? And for individuals who prefer to read and educate themselves, the number one book that I would recommend is The Bitcoin Standard. Okay, The Bitcoin Standard. It's a great book. It will teach and educate you about money, Bitcoin, what it's looking to do, the properties of it, how it's unique, powerful, and how the world is going to move to a Bitcoin standard. So yeah, great read.
Thank you, Dr. Hans. Like Monica Osam said, quote, I'm going to follow you like Moses, Dr. Hans. So thank you so much.
I'm taking our people across that Red Sea.
Amen.
Amen.
You all follow Dr. Hans. Can you tell us your social media again?
Yes, it's at The Investing Tutor. So THE investing and then tutor, which is TUTOR. So at The Investing Tutor on Instagram. My website is www.theinvestingtutor.com. So there you can get access to the free stock workshop, and I have a 7-minute, Bitcoin workshop on there as well. And also be on the lookout either via my Instagram or via email, which if you subscribe to my free workshop, you're going to be in my email system. Be on the lookout for Bitcoin Africa Club, which will be launching shortly.
Someone said, who is the author of the Bitcoin Standard book?
Saifedean Ammous. Saifedean Ammous.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, and I had the great privilege of seeing the individual, and I was like, oh my gosh. I can't believe I'm seeing Jack Dorsey. I can't believe I'm seeing the Winklevoss twins. I can't believe Saifedean is here. You all, just a phenomenal opportunity. Never in history could we be positioned at a time where we can own an asset that is not exclusive to the rich and wealthy, right? When Facebook, Twitter, PayPal was starting, they didn't come to immigrants and say, hey, buy into this. Bitcoin is for everyone. Everyone could have bought Bitcoin in 2009 and you can buy it today. So the 7 billion people will all, in my opinion, be flowing into this crypto asset.
I bet. I know. I think you've opened so many doors, even in this last hour that you shared with us. So thank you so much for your time. All this information has been free, and we have a free gift, 20 minutes with Dr. Hans. This is the first step. There's so many resources out there through Dr. Hans and some of the books and recommendations that he's made. So please, please follow him and take him up on all the opportunities, because as he said, this is the future. This is the steps that we need to be taking. So let's all follow like Moses, and he will take us to the promised land of financial freedom.
Absolutely. Thank
Thanks
you.
so much, Dr. Hans.
Thank you, Dr. Hans.
It's my absolute pleasure.
All right. Well, for the sake of time, I'll move the program along. We wanted to get you out at 3 o'clock. We tried, but getting that African inability to stick to the time schedule, something that
I know it was my fault too, but I want everyone to get the information, and I hope that you can forgive me for going over.
Yes, I think honestly, if we could, I know a lot of people, we could spend hours and hours getting those questions answered by Dr. Hans and Amelia. So thank you for the Q&A session, Jasmine. Please follow Dr. Hans again. He's very active on Clubhouse, so take him up on there as well, and all of his other resources that he has. And on the next part of our program, we want to mention that we have a survey. This survey is for us to get as much feedback as possible. One question that we actually have is, if you all want to see this again, we're going to do a quick poll. We are hoping to go bigger and better. So ideally, we want to know if you want an in-person experience when everything calms down and we return to a sense of normalcy. So we want to launch a quick poll. 2022 Ghana Innov8 Summit in person. Are you down? Would you prefer to see a remote session? Let us know your thoughts right now, and we can get a quick pulse of how you all are looking forward to future programming from us.
I want to see you in person, Jay.
I know, I want to see you in person too. All right, maybe if no one else joins us, we can do the
just do our own thing. Jay,
yeah. All right. Let's take a look at those results. All right, so as we get those results.
Oh, they need to see us in person.
But a lot of people want to do something in person. So as we said, feedback is the biggest gift that you can give us. How can we make this better? How can we cater to your needs and your wants? We have sent out a survey through email from the Eventbrite. So please take a few minutes to answer that survey. Give us as much feedback as possible. It's anonymous. Give us the good, the bad, exactly what you want to see, because we want to make this a stepping stone to a lot more great programming in the future. And so we can only do that if you tell us exactly what you want from us. All right. And without any further ado, we are going to go to the giveaway. Ooh. All right, so we are giving away 2 amazing prizes. In total, we're giving away $900 worth of prizes. The first prize we're giving away is 30 minutes of business coaching with Amelia, who shared her story of how she became an entrepreneur and some of the things that she did and learned from to get her businesses to where they are today. The second prize is a 20-minute investing session with Dr. Hans. You see, he was here, and the way the Q&A was going, the way the questions were coming, you can have him all to yourself for 20 minutes to ask him all those questions. So as a thank you for joining, we've put everyone in the raffle, and how you access your entry is going back to your Eventbrite. So check your email, check your order. So your email should look like this, and you should have an option that says view order. That's going to show you your ticket number. Your ticket number is your entry into the raffle. So we're going to go ahead and raffle off the first prize, which is the 30-minute business coaching session. All right. Let's see who that winner is. Oh, my name is all right, so we have 1734-457239. Congratulations, you are the winner of the 30-minute business coaching session, a $400 value with Aforkor Amelia Quaye. We'll be emailing you the information after this, so stay tuned for that follow-up email. And we will raffle off the second prize, which is a 20-minute investing session with the investing tutor himself. So go ahead and spin that wheel. All right, let's see who's next. All right, 172-084-3991. Congratulations. Your investing future has been forever changed because these are going to be an exceptional 20 minutes that you're going to spend with the investing tutor. So I hope you take up every moment of it. And if you don't want it, feel free to just let me know and I'll do it for you.
I'll take it too.
I would love that time. All right, so we'll be emailing both of our prize winners details on how they can access their prize. And I'm going to pass it back to Jasmine to wrap us up and close us out.
We made it, everyone. We made it. We made it. We made it. Thank you so much for being with us today. I hope that you learned something. I know that I did. I know you all were wondering about social media handles. Here's the social media and handles for Ms. Quaye and Dr. Hans. Please follow them. Please support Amelia's AfokoSkin. It's amazing. I've seen her stuff in Urban Outfitters before, so I was like, oh my goodness, this is so cool. So it's so amazing. It's so inspiring to see other Ghanaians doing great things, and follow Dr. Hans as well at the Investing Tutor as well. So thank you all so much for being with us, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're playing a little highlight reel.
I know. It's on my face. I was like, what's going on? Okay.
Yeah, so here's the highlights from our program. Thank you for joining. Be sure to follow us on Instagram. Check out our website, GhanaInnov8.com, and we will see you soon.
Charlie, too conscious.
Mr. Autry on the sax.
Move. Showers. Donzi. Donzi.